Naka, and welcome Natalie Raikadroka to our Morning Star. This is an exhibition commemorating the 60th year of resistance, unity, struggles, and also our quest for freedom and independence for West Papua. Natalie, you are no stranger to the music industry in Fiji, but also in the Pacific, and I just really want to take this time to thank you for being part of this interview, and particularly for someone like you who holds, multiple positions and wears multiple hats in society. I think it's incredible what you do, not just as an incredible mom to 3 beautiful kids, but you're also a renowned and award-winning musician and artist in the Pacific, a beautician, a lawyer by profession, and recently you also made history in Fiji as the first artist, and a female artist, by the way, to hit 1 million views on YouTube with your cover rendition to the song Bingo Meow by Tanganindalai Nova. And almost at 2 million views now, as I checked today. And that, I think that's a very it's an achievement for a young female artists like you. Let me start with this interview by saying that, I first came to know of you in 2010 when you participated in the Vodafone Mic show. And I remember so vividly, and it's still today I was reflecting on that and being so captivated when you sang Cowboy Take Me Away by the Dixie Chicks. And I remember looking up that group actually and the lyrics to that song, and as I reflect on that experience, it really spotlight just how beautiful your voice was, but also your respect for the craft of music to be able to sway and motivate people along this journey that you've had so far. And of course, we have sort of interacted one way or the other through this journey. I'm so fortunate that, I came to know you when we were studying the same university, listening to you at whatever bar at USP, but also now being part of this social justice movement. And I'm very, very humbled to interview you, Natalie. So welcome to this interview. And so maybe to begin, tell us a little more about yourself and what really has inspired you and continues to inspire you along the journey, especially when it comes to your music.
Thank you, Ms. Rarama, for the very kind words of welcome. I'm very honored to be interviewed by the likes of you. And Mbula Vinaka to everyone who might be watching this interview, Mbula from Fiji. Yes, my inspiration is drawn mostly from nothing short of experience. It is just life's experience. I cannot sing, I cannot emote things that I do not know of. I cannot sing of things that I do not know of. So most of my inspiration from my music and my writing style is drawn from my own experiences as a young woman. In the highs and the lowest parts of my life, as a mom, as a human being. So that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, and it's really incredible what music can do. Not just inspire you as being a woman, being a mom, and all these things that you carry around with, in society, being yourself, but also the fact that you can be able to sway people, influence them, in terms of anything that just out of passion, out of all these kind of things of values, but also at the same time when we are something that's so intricately important, social, when it comes to social justice movements and the issue around West Papua, and this year really it's the 60th anniversary of this of when the first Morning Star flag was raised in West Papua, and despite Indonesia's annexation, it continues to be that violent colonial ruler in West Papua. And so the symbol of the Morning Star has been really about unity and freedom for the West Papuan people. And as a musician, what has really inspired you to come forth in terms of in advocacy through music, through your art, to pursue the quest for freedom of the West Papuan people?
Thank you, Tamani. So I first learned of this movement from the beautiful sisters, the Tuilau sisters, when I was walking around the USP campus one time, and they were having like a little campaign, and they were talking about this thing, this place called, West Papua, and they're talking of this violence, and they're speaking of this violence and oppression of people in West Papua, that I came to learn is not so far away from Fiji, and is not so far away from where I am and where my loved ones are. So instantly that posed as somewhat of a threat to me, considering that, I came to know that this thing is happening right around our corridors, so to speak. And to feel, to feel that the possibility of West Papua being Fiji scares the daylights out of me. The possibility of knowing that West Papua could be one of our island homes here in Fiji threatens me, threatens my stance as a human being, threatens the lives of my children. And to know that, that this is happening on a daily basis. This is a reality of the children in West Papua. This is it's a story to me, but it is a reality to the women and the people living in West Papua. And because it is my nature to stand up for what is right, I love the words of George Fiji Vekoso. I had a personal conversation with him once, and what he said I've never forgotten, and that was, as a true musician, it's so hard for us to lie. It's just lying is just something that's so hard to do. So when I emote, you were saying earlier how I persuade the audience with how I sing and how I emote in the song, and it has a lot to do with like genuinity. Like when I sing these things, when I write, when I pen my songs, it's a genuine emotion, it's a genuine feeling, and it's true. And that is why you are persuaded. That is why I can sing a song about heartbreak, and you've never had a heartbreak before, but you'd feel like your heart's been broken. Yeah. So a lot of what I do comes from a place of realness. I can't fake, in the social justice movement, and I know you've been in it for a very long time, Tamani. This is a passion that you just can't fake. It'll show like the years and the persistency and the consistency in your fight shows that you're genuine about this and you truly feel about this. This is more than just a topic of discussion. This is more than just some, a story that is happening just not too far from where we are. And we all feel the same way, which is why you're sitting here interviewing me today.
Yeah, and it's just thank you so much for imparting those words by Judge Fiji Vekoso. And I think there's power as well in being as you've shared, being authentic and being being in your own realness and just being able to put all these things that are around you and put it into words, into a song, and then how that sorts of sways through society as music and be able to generate those kind of emotions and discussions with people. And I think it's so lovely having to reflect on some of these things as well, just as a human being, and it definitely comes to recognition that many of us, including myself, weren't aware of this West Papua issue, and it's just happening on the backyard. It's a neighboring country. We're a Melanesian society, and not being so aware of this throughout the journey, and until probably when you're in university or when you come across people who has been working on this, and you surround yourself with them, and they sort of impart those learnings to you, and then you go oh my God, I did not know this was happening in West Papua. And the fact that it's something, it's sort of like a modern day genocide that's happening there, modern day, dictatorship, and nobody really likes, especially with countries that has potential to move, shift policies and etc. and influence, institutions that can help and assist the people of West Papua, but really nothing happens. And of course, there's high levels of violence that's happening there on women and girls, but also men and boys on a daily basis. And so it's really, really lovely to hear that this is what your experience with the Tula sisters and Mary and
Yes.
Lisa. Okay, so remember you releasing a title, not a title, a song. You released a song, I'll Bleed for You. Tell us more about this song and how that came about, and what the music holds for you. What does it mean?
Thank you. The song I'll Bleed for You is really dedicated to the fighters of that are fighting this fight. I always dedicate the song to the campaign, We Bleed Black and Red campaign, which is the campaign that led me to know about the situation that's happening in West Papua. So really, I Bleed for You speaks of how much I feel that I failed a race of people. It speaks of how, people say it's the song starts with, they say I'm a star, they say I'm beautiful, they say I'm all these things, but deep down inside, I don't feel that way. My heart's broken, and there's a cloud of worry that hangs over my head, because as glamorous as the life of an artist can seem, as that just living that stardom, in my head, I know that there's a reality that's going on in West Papua, and it hurts me. So I'll Bleed for You is my prayer. The chorus is like my prayer. I'll breathe for you. I'll stand for you. I'll pray for you. I'll bleed for you. We bleed black and red. Yeah.
I love it how you've said it so very eloquently, that it's a prayer. I wouldn't take it and think about it that this is something like a prayer, but it does, for you to share that now, it imparts me a different perception when I'm listening to the music, and and the music really is such a powerful, I'll Bleed for You is such a powerful song, an empowering song. And so maybe now we'll have a listen to it. And ladies and gentlemen, let's have a listen to I'll Bleed for You by Natalie Raikadroka.
This one's an original number, and it was written with the We Bleed Black and Red campaign in mind. I hope you guys enjoy. They say I'm a star, I am beautiful. I don't believe it, no. Someone not afraid of the government. No, to be honest, I'm ashamed of my government. Speak up the truth and stop making excuses. I've heard all the lies you've been telling, you're useless. Why? You let the money dictate you, and when you want to make change, you turn around and hate you. Look, they started to intimidate you. Look, they started to intimidate you. I have a question and I know what you're gonna say. You say innocent people died, but you turn away. Why are you pushing this aside? Why it's not a genocide? Why a woman died, but you still refuse to realize? Don't you care for a brother? Didn't Jesus teach us to love one another? Why you acting like you never had a mother? And I'll stand for you, I'll breathe for you, I'll fight for you, I'll sing for you, I'll fight for you, I'll breathe for you. What can I do? Can I bleed for you? I'll bleed for you.
Wow, that's such a very powerful statement, because there's always this probably an assumption as well from people that, you know, our government speaks on our behalf. But at certain times, especially in this kind of, with the West Papua issues, you know, seeking self-liberation and self-determination, and country leaders being silent, it really is up to the people to shift the narratives, but also the positions in which we advocate these issues upon. And of course, the global community through the, like, you know, the United Nations, they talk about leaving no one behind, and many argue that the Pacific is not free until the West Papua people are free, until the Maui, Nui people are free, until the Kanaki people are free. What are your call to those still suppressing our Pacific people?
I've spoken on behalf of myself being a Fijian citizen. We also have a few citizens of Indonesia who are very open about how much they detest what's going on right now, the oppression that's happening in West Papua. We even have the likes of Veronica Common, who, you know, who they're trying to get extradited back into Indonesia, and who's seeking asylum in Australia. So we have a lot of other people in Indonesia who are aware. You know, I love the phrase. It's biblical as well. My people suffer for the lack of knowledge. My people suffer for the lack of knowledge. Because we are not aware, we will allow the suffering to carry on. And if people knew, and if more Fijians knew, you know, and sometimes just twist the tables around, twist it around. Come from my side and see, look at how I'm looking at the situation. What if it happened to you? What if your children were taken? What if your language was taken from you? What if your culture was taken from you? What if your small island nation was invaded tomorrow? How would you want others to act? How would you want others to stand up for you? And that's where I base a lot of my stances from, because I would not want what's happening in West Papua to happen to Fiji. And it's happening just around the corner. It's crazy, isn't it?
And also, so, like you
shared, for the oppressors, you know, you would not want that done to you. Do unto others what you would have done to yourself. Love others the way you love yourself. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. If you can hear in my rap, I also rap in another of my other songs, and I use a few Bible verses, biblical references to my rap. And, you know, it comes down to that. It comes down to love. And what is love? And we wouldn't want the same thing that's happening in West Papua to happen to us. You wouldn't want it happening in Indonesia. So why then are you? It's really simple.
But also just understanding as well that it doesn't have to take, you know, some sort of like understanding that this is happening around us. It's just how you said it so very beautifully. Like, you know, how do you connect these experiences of oppressions and violence that's happening with the people of West Papua to, you know, to your values, to your personal values, to, and how that connects you to, you know, to all these kind of things, and your, you know, to your politics as a person. What stands out? Like, what are your values, and how do you interact in those? And so I'm so glad that we have champions like you and who have voices and the mass to reach out through your music and your art, to be able to, like you said, share the knowledge, create that awareness that's needed for the population who are unaware, and also utilize those knowledge by the population to act upon it and advocate sincerely, but also steadfastly with trying to get, the West Papua to their own, to the agency of the nation that they need. And that was another interesting thing I heard from you tonight is really about this, it's also, we have people from Indonesia who are actively and very passionately as well advocating against their government on the oppressions that their militaries are undertaking in West Papua. So with that, Natalie, do you have any other final words before we wrap up?
Yes, I would like to finish off with saying a big vinakavakalevu. Big vinakavakalevu to people like you, people like the Tuilau sisters. Big vinakavakalevu to campaigns such as the We Bleed Black and Red campaign. If it were not for you and your fight, I would not be bothered with this issue. I would not be so passionate. I would not be so critical. And these are the experiences. These are the, the cognitive processes in my mind that allow me to write. And that is why my writing is very different. My compositions are very different to that of others, because I really think deep. I really take it in. I bring the situation closer to home. And I thank you. I thank you guys. I thank, everyone out there. We have, fighters in Australia and New Zealand and other parts of the Pacific. We also see the Morning Star flag raised at a lot of the marches and protesters overseas. So this is a big vinakavakalevu, and thank you to you guys and choosing to stand up and fight as opposed to being silent and allowing other people to suffer in silence. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It has been really a pleasure and a humble experience to really do this interview with you and just to hear your experiences from a personal journey, but also on your work and undertakings on like social justice issues as such, on the West Papua self-liberation and self-determination, but also for being genuine and being authentically, you and sharing your message of who you are, your values, and those groundings into the music that you share out with the world. Thank you for being part of this Morning Star exhibition, and we thank you for your time, and we'll catch you soon through the journey. Thank you so much, Natalie. And a big vinakavakalevu.